Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Raise Her Gaze. We've got an amazing special guest for you today, Nicole Olsthoorn, sorry, leadership for the feminine way.
Yes.
Okay, so Nicole, you're a priestess.
Yes.
Tell us more about that, and obviously more about you that I haven't yet said.
Well, where shall I start? Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I am a high priestess. I also sometimes say I'm a ritual maker because that kind of falls in the same category, I guess. But whenever people ask me, like, how did you get into this? I usually end up saying, I didn't get into it, it got into me.
Mm,
Like it's one of those things that I just rolled into without really intentionally wanting to do that.
mhm,
I've always felt a deep resonance with ancient Egypt in particular. I was one of those teenagers who would just devour all the documentaries on National Geographic Channel and Discovery Channel, like, ooh, pyramids, ooh, pharaohs, I want to know more.
yeah.
So that was one of the things where it really started. And then I was 19 when I visited the pyramids in Egypt, and I was just hooked. I was hooked about everything of ancient wisdom and the mysteries of that. And over time, I learned that the lineage of the divine feminine is very much connected with all of that. There's like a lineage that we don't very often speak about or haven't spoken a lot about in in our current worldview, and that is the lineage of the divine feminine. So I became a devotee of her in my own way. It's only in hindsight that I can see that I really became a devotee of her. I wasn't like going to church or praying or anything like that. I just had my own ways. I would create little rituals. I would honor the divinity in all other people and especially in women, and I would weave that into my work as a leadership consultant. And more that spiritual aspect just got itself woven into the work that I was doing with these leaders. And eventually I just realized, hang on, like this is more than just something that I'm interested in. This is a
Mm,
calling now.
mm.
And that's when priestess initiation, the whole thing really started to become more serious.
Amazing. Yeah.
Mm.
So I've had a similar kind of like journey with like started in Glastonbury for me.
Mm.
So I went to Glastonbury. Like I've always been spiritual. When I was a
Yeah.
child, I was really attuned to the metaphysical side of life. And then in my teens, I got really interested in witchcraft, like white
Yeah.
magic and stuff. And I was buying books at Waterstones and doing little nature spells and everything. And then I went to Glastonbury. And I was just like, oh my God, like I didn't even know a place like this existed in the
Mm.
world where, and that's obviously very rich in goddess energy, isn't it?
So much. Yes.
And then I just kept going back and back and back and back. And now we go there every year on my birthday. And my partner proposed to me on the tour. He
Oh,
knows how
wow,
much I
it's
love
really woven in.
Glastonbury.
I have a funny
Yeah.
story about Glastonbury if you want to hear it.
Yes, please.
So, because I had seen a picture of the Chalice Well, which for those of you who don't know, obviously the Chalice Well is in the Challenge Gardens, and the gardens are in Glastonbury, and it's one of the many sacred sites within the area of Glastonbury. And I'd seen that picture and I felt drawn to this well, but at the time I had no idea why. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was about it, the history, none of it. Kind of set that aside, went to do like, went to Egypt, all of that. And then 10 years after I went to Egypt, I received a vision of a house. And that house had like, it had rolling hills on one side and rugged cliffs on the other side. And I'm born and bred in the Netherlands. And for those of you who've ever been there, the Netherlands is very flat. So we do not have rolling hills. We do not have rugged cliff sides. So I figured, oh, this is not here. It needs to be somewhere else. So I sold my apartment. I packed everything up in a suitcase and I just hit the road because I just knew I needed to find this place.
Mm,
Um, And I did 9 months later, but what happened in the meantime involved this picture of Glastonbury because I actually joined up with a friend of mine and we traveled around Europe and all the while I was like, where's this house? I don't know where it is. I don't recognize the landscape from anywhere until like 9 months later. She decided to go her own way and I decided to go my way. And she asked me, where do you go next? And by now, we'd been traveling without a house, like a nomadic life for about 9 months. And all of a sudden, this picture of Glastonbury just dropped to my awareness again. It's like, that's where I'm going. I don't know where it is, but this is where I'm going. So I did a bit of research and I discovered it's in Glastonbury. So I booked a ticket to London initially, and then traveled through to Glastonbury. And when she asked me, so when are you going? It's like, well, I can't remember. I think it was the 3rd or the 6th of June, something like that, 2020, 2016. And she was like, oh, great, cool. When are you coming back? And that's when I realized I'd bought a one-way ticket.
Yeah.
Then I didn't realize that. So I got to Glastonbury, and in Glastonbury, I actually visited the well, and it was probably one of the first times that I felt the presence of the divine feminine of the goddess so viscerally in my body. It was like a big homecoming, a feeling of that.
Mm.
But I didn't like the city, the town of Glastonbury that much.
No.
It's not, it has a whole other side to it as well. We don't have to go into that, but I love the gardens. And then in Glastonbury, I stayed there for 3 weeks. I actually had the dream of Wales, and I followed the guidance of that dream to Wales. And when I arrived in Wales, I was like, this is where it is. And I remember sitting in a bus, driving to Pembrokeshire, and at some point the bus drives up, and I see rolling hills on one side and rugged cliffs on the other side. And I was like,
Wow.
this is home. This
Yeah.
is the feeling of home. This is where it is.
Yeah.
But what I loved about it is that I recognize that feeling of home because at the Chalice Well, I had felt it so viscerally in my body, and it had been such a new feeling for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's and I actually live in Wales, so I decided to move here.
It's so interesting because obviously I grew up in Wales.
Yes.
And Pembrokeshire was where my gran had a caravan, my gran and
Mm,
granddad. We'd go there on holiday every summer. And then when my gran was in her later years, she bought a house in Pembrokeshire. And so I was like, and it's like, you said there's another side to Glastonbury.
yeah.
For me, because I grew up in Wales, I feel there's another side to that as well. And it's
Yeah.
like, moved away from there to get away from that side of it. But when I go home to visit my family, I always feel so healed. Like just a
Mm,
short stint there. It's like how, my soul will call me to Glastonbury periodically and then it'll call me back to Wales and I'll just get my
yes.
little fix and then I'll come back.
I love that. Yeah. And it's true because where I was called to go initially in Wales, I don't live there anymore. I live somewhere else. But I do feel that there's two different sides to almost every place, and especially if you feel energies and it's like an energy hotspot or where, Glastonbury is the Mary Magdalene and the Michael ley line cross there as well. So there's a lot of earth energy and dragon line energy in the earth there. I feel that it depends on our own frequency and the state of mind that we are in, also which side we are experiencing, because we live in a duality, we
Yeah,
live in a dual world. There's the light and there's the dark. So which
yeah.
side do you experience? Which one resonates the most with you?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Because all the times I've been to Glastonbury, I've been aware that there's another side there. You can see it, you can feel it, but I wasn't engaged in it at all. And I
Mm.
was getting my fix every time I'd go there.
Yeah.
So I'd feel amazing. And then this one time we went there for my birthday and we drank alcohol.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And it
get me out of
changed
here.
probably, didn't it?
Get me out. I couldn't get out fast enough.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I had. I stayed there for 3 weeks initially, and I was like, I need to get out. I couldn't get out fast enough.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I've been back since, and I've had some amazing experiences now at Glastonbury.
Mm.
But it is that, it has both sides. But then
Mm.
everything has
It
has other
does.
sides,
It's
isn't
just
it?
kind of like heightened in those hot spots.
Yes. Yeah, very
Yeah.
much so. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you had such a connection with Glastonbury. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
do, but that is beautiful. Yeah.
So, like for me, right, it's interesting because I feel very connected now to Mary Magdalene. And I've
Mm.
been going to Glastonbury since I was a teenager, and I didn't even really know who Mary Magdalene was until last year.
I
So,
know that just really blew my mind when you told me that. I was like, girl, you've never like what?
I know,
Like,
I just, it's so weird. Like, I knew about the goddess
yes.
and the different forms and manifestations of the goddess, and, like I've worked with different energies at different times, like
Mm.
Hecate and Aphrodite, and even like Hindu goddesses as well,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Lakshmi. And my spiritual teacher told me I needed more Durga. So there was a period of time where I was really in that energy. And it's like, but Mary Magdalene only came in last year and
Mm.
strong. Like now
Yeah.
my whole life is about Mary Magdalene. I'm
I
like,
know she's a fierce, fierce energy, and she came to me very strong as well. And it's one of those I like I'm kind of seeing a pattern that when she shows up in your life, it's almost like she wants you to eradicate the suffering. Like she wants you to get out of martyrdom, out of your own suffering, and really walk as that feminine leader.
mm,
Because she carries that stigma of being demonized and blamed and shamed, and even feeling guilty for being a woman and for her life force creative sexual energy. And
mm,
there's such a stigma around her as even just as an archetype. So
yeah.
when she comes through very strongly, I feel that that is the invitation for us to work through and say, right, it's time now to really own your femininity and your leadership and to just let go of like just there's no need for any shame, any guilt, any suffering, none of that anymore now. You
Mm.
got to rise up now. Rise up
Yeah.
and be that leader that you're meant to be.
I'm going all tingly. My
Ah!
arms have gone all goose pimply.
I'll tell you what, the first time she came, well, it wasn't the first time, but she came to me initially as
Right?
a
Yeah. I've
skeleton
seen the
with a
skull.
with a crown
Mm.
and like a red um,
Hood.
veil.
Oh, veil.
And
Right.
it wasn't that I was afraid of that, but it was very new to me for her to show up that way. It's like, whoa, what? And all
Mm.
I heard is you have to take care of the bones. You got to look at the bones, the bones, the bones. And so it took me a while to figure out what that meant. But for me, it was like bones. It was double-sided. It was multidimensional. That's another thing that I really felt in her presence is that she came through as a multidimensional frequency, not just as the one certain archetype, but really within the many different layers that we have.
Mm.
And so it was bones as in literally my own bone structure, looking at my health in that sense, but also the structure, like the bones of what I was building, the bones of my life, the structure, the foundation of my life, of my business, of my relationships, everything. And the cycles of death and rebirth, that bone structure. And then I was suffering at the time a lot with endometriosis.
Mm.
And um, another thing that she really strongly told me is that the codes are in your blood. That was a line that she just told me, like the codes are in your blood. And so I was like, right, my blood. So here we are with blood and bones. And it's like, wow, it's like really strong
Yeah.
message of just like the core of everything of your body and honoring your blood and your cycle. Um, so yeah, I went deep with that, and she's been with me ever since in the multidimensional form, as is Jeshua, as both of them, and even just the bigger, like I feel that she's part of what I call the Council of Light as well.
Okay.
So the Council of Light is gosh, I don't think I've ever shared this on a podcast, so here we go.
This is cool.
I didn't expect the conversation to go here, but
She's
let's roll
talking
with
through you.
it. So the Council of Light is the way that I have gotten to know them is you can almost say like a galactic federation that governs our cosmos or our universe. So you can almost see it as a round table meeting of all kind of beings from all different star
Constellations.
constellations and beings. who just sit there and they govern like the evolution of not just Earth, obviously, but the whole of the cosmos and how we're all related. And for some reason, I felt that both Joshua and Mary Magdalene were part of that. And then I later on learned it's like, yes, they are because like their archetypal energy is so woven into the culture here on Earth.
Mm.
Like whether you are Christian or not, whether you have that background or not, in the Western world,
Yeah,
our whole structure, our whole society is based on Christianity and what has occurred in the last 2 centuries. And so they are part of that Council of Light, almost as an advisory element in there, saying, "Listen, this is what's happening on Earth," and they've lived here in that human form, so they kind of know the origin story of that. And as I'm saying this, I'm getting goosebumps. I have never spoken these words before. I've never had this clarity around that. So this is
mm.
pretty cool to hear this come through. And um, later on, I have to say, in 2023, I think this was, yeah, 2023, the Council of Light actually connected with me and invited me to uh, step into, well, they basically said, like, would you be interested in leading a mission called Opening the Higher Chakra of the World? And I was like, well, I don't know what the hell that is. You got to explain that before I'm going to say yes.
We're
So
like,
they
yeah, I'm in.
explained it.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Well, just because it comes from another dimension doesn't mean it's right for me. I want to
No.
hear what this is all about. And
Mm.
I felt excitement, sure, but I also know that I can be very flattered when I receive an invitation like that. So I wanted to unpack that. So I learned a bit more about that, and eventually I said, yeah, I do. And I've come to learn like I'm not the only one who leads this mission. This is a worldwide mission. I have now learned, like I've gotten to know quite a few other people who have received that same invitation. So there's a big calling to like open the high heart chakra, which is the chakra between our heart and our throat. And so the way I see it is that our heart chakra is the chakra that's really connected with love, obviously, and compassion and integrity for ourselves mainly, and learning to love ourselves. But then the higher chakra is actually extending that invitation to the whole world. So can we love the world? Can we love the humanity? Can we love the people? Can we have compassion and integrity for others and for what's happening in the world as well? And to then use your throat chakra to voice that, to speak not just for love for yourself, but also love and extend that compassion to others. Now, this was 2023. If you look where we are now, like there is not a bigger calling than now for us to do that,
Yeah,
right? And the higher chakra, if you look at the heart chakra is in Glastonbury,
yeah,
the planetary heart chakra. The
yeah.
higher chakra, I believe, is in Avebury, in the stone circle of
Ooh,
Avebury.
I live near there.
Yes, I know.
We went there on
Uh,
my birthday. Interesting as
And
well. Every
Avebury is
time I
one of the
go,
like it's one of my favorite places in the world. Like I had been there before I'd even noticed, so all of this is coming together and um yeah, so I've accepted that invitation to be one of the women who's leading that mission. And ever since accepting that, I've just been like creating so much around feminine leadership and supporting women in rising in their feminine leadership. And yeah, just for us to join forces, join hands, join in our collective purpose and collective power as women to
yeah,
birth something new and to be that open high heart chakra for the world.
yeah. I want to ask you a question, which is going to take us on from there. But before we move on, not move on, but it'll just lead to the next part of this conversation. But before we do that, I just want to say, you were saying I've never said this before, and I didn't realize we were going to be talking about this on the podcast and
Yeah.
everything. It's interesting that that should come out on this podcast because what I've been connecting with is a similar Council of Light, but I wasn't
Mm,
calling it that. It's basically through the Taoist tradition, and it's like seven celestial beings
yeah,
that live
I've
in the
heard of
Big
them.
Dipper.
Yeah, seven.
Yeah.
The number
And,
seven comes back a lot around that like cosmic federation. I've heard different names. I've heard Council of Light, High Council of Light, Cosmic Federation, the seven beings, seven light beings, the seven rays of color, the
Mhm.
seven angels. Like there's a lot of different ways that I feel is all the same or similar frequency.
Yeah, so it could be the same. They
Yeah,
could be the same board. I mean, I don't know who the individuals are on this board, but I know that there is a celestial council of beings and they are overseeing everything in the universe. And I've recently been so connected to the Big Dipper as a
the Big
constellation.
Dipper.
Mm.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Well, if Mary Magdalene comes through, there's definitely a connection with the High Council of Light.
Yes. And
Yeah.
like I say, it could be the same Council of Light, but every tradition just has their own way of portraying it,
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
like understanding it or whatever.
Yeah.
But when Mary Magdalene first came to me, I literally thought, because I do think you're 100% right, she's come along to end the suffering, to finish those patterns, to stop you playing small, to stop you, self-sabotaging
Yeah.
yourself and all of that. But I literally thought she was going to do it for me. So I was
Yeah.
like, yay, she's gonna come and do it. Oh no, it's me. I've got to
Girl,
step up.
she's not gonna fish for you. She's gonna teach you how to fish, so you can do it yourself, kind of thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, but but I find her one of the most comforting
Mm,
um energies around because
definitely.
there is
Like Mother
just
Mary in a way, not the
yes, Mother
same,
Mary as
but
well.
similar.
Yeah, very similar. It's very comforting, and I found, for me also, uh, I believe that one of the reasons that I felt and still feel such a connection with the goddess energy and also with the Divine Mother, and the words that resonate for me the most are Great Mother Goddess. That's just for me, just feels like the most resonant words. The way that the reason I feel so connected and I've created such a strong connection with her is because I struggled a lot in my connection with my own mother. It
Right.
was a time where we really where it was very difficult between us. It is no longer, we're good. We're really
Okay.
good now.
Yeah.
We're in now we're definitely good.
Good.
Um, but that I feel has been part of the journey. And I think that if you look at our world, in general, our society and how I don't want to overgeneralize this, but the pattern that I see with the people around me is a great big mother wound. If you look at the
Yes.
world, the way
Yeah.
that our society is run, especially now, is there is so little respect for the mother. And I mean, and this is literally the mother, you have kids, I don't, but there, some of you are literally mother, but
Mm.
also the mother as in the archetype of the mother, like she who nurtures, cares, gives birth, gives life. Like there is no reverence and respect for that anymore. The
No.
whole role of those who are nurturing and caring are the ones who are the most belittled, suppressed, underpaid, disrespected in our society. It's absolutely
I know.
insane.
I know.
And yet we are the ones who are giving that life, who are giving, we are the ones who make a house a home where it's safe, where it's good. We feed people, give us ingredients, and we cook a meal.
Yep.
That's us. And that is the most disrespected role in our society right now. And that is such a big signal that we've lost connection with the mother, which then I would say is the great mother goddess, which to just make a full circle to ancient Egypt, if you look at ancient Egypt and some of the other ancient traditions, they saw the divine as goddess, as a feminine being, simply because, if the divine is there, if it creates the planets, if it creates the stars, if it creates the trees, the plants, everything, the elements, they looked at they looked around, they looked at themselves, and they saw that women could do the same thing. It were women who were creating life. They were the ones who had the capacity to use their body as a vessel for birth. So to them, it was the most logical sense that if there was a divine being, it would be a female, it would be a goddess, a
Mm.
great mother goddess. So the earth herself was the great mother goddess, and they lived in alignment with that. Um, and we've lost that connection.
Mm.
There is no
Yeah.
reference for that. And I feel that there is a big gaping mother wound because
Yeah.
of that. We
Huge.
lost connection with what that nurturing means for ourselves. We no longer, like a lot of us feel very under-nurtured, under-cared for. Because of that, there is a big, um, how do you say that? Like people tend to mistrust. They don't really trust each other anymore. There's a lot of mistrust between people, especially
Yeah.
among women. Like we don't trust each other. Yeah.
Mm.
That's a lot to unpack, and I won't go
It's,
into. There's a father wound as well, don't get me wrong. There's another side. But
yeah.
since we're talking about the great mother here, yeah,
Yeah, and obviously, raise her gaze. There'll be women listening to this.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so, what I've seen as a pattern, which repeats itself almost every time, is when I take women through my menopause program.
Mm,
We start with body healing because they'll usually come to me through acupuncture. So we use the Chinese medicine to heal the symptoms
yeah.
and rebalance that. Then we go into what I call being more yin. And then if a woman stays with me and goes through all the stages, what always comes up next is her mother wound.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
though your menopause initiation is not going to be complete until you heal your mother
Yeah.
wound.
Yeah. Definitely happened for me.
Mm.
They were one and the same journey.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so what kind of women do you work with, right? Because you do leadership the feminine way, and you mentioned leaders that you work with.
Mm,
So, like,
yeah.
what kind of leaders are we talking about? Are we talking about corporate leaders or world leaders or feminine, already attuned to the feminine leaders online, or who do you work
Yeah,
with?
so the women who tend to find me are on a spiritual path already.
Mm,
It's not their first rodeo. They've done a
mm,
lot of inner work. I call them, they're very ambitious and soul-driven or soul-led. And they usually have either their own business, so they're a female founder, or they are leading in a position somewhere else, so they're leading ladies as well. So um, they're drawn to me because they know that something is brewing inside of them. Like they feel that there is a mission. They might have already taken steps to do that, but there's a certain desire to go deeper and to unpack more. And because they've done a lot of inner work, they also realize that just the spaces that they used to go to anymore cannot really hold their power. They're like, no, there's too much at stake here right now. Like, it's not my first rodeo, so just going to
mm,
a nice little masterclass or workshop there is just really not going to cut it anymore. I want someone who
no,
can hold that and who've walked through the fire as well.
mm,
And on top of that, there's quite a things at stake. When you run your own business and you might have a family next to that or other, especially the women in midlife. Not that I focus just on midlife, but you can be in the sandwich. You can have elderly parents, younger kids. So there's a lot of things going on. Um, and I've walked through my own fires. Having to juggle multiple high stake challenges at once is not something that I'm unfamiliar with. At one point in my life, I was like looking at a very serious illness, a financial crisis, moving houses, no community, and like all at the same time. So like I know what it's like to having to navigate a lot of tension and pressure in yourself while almost like holding it together, but then also having to find a way to actually surrender to the flow because you know that when you surrender, things come to you more easily. When you're able to flow, things come to you more easily. So how do you find that balance? And what I absolutely love to do with these women is like we just step into a one-on-one container. That's my most favorite one. I also have other options for those who want to work in their own pace and stuff. But when we work in a one-on-one setting, it's almost like a free flow. There's a certain amount of contact points if we want to, but the most is just on chat, like WhatsApp, Vox, or Telegram, whatever, and being in the moment, sharing in the moment what happens, so that I can walk shoulder to shoulder with you and bring that element of the divine feminine into your life more and more and more. And this is not something that you can just teach. It's something that you have to experience. When they experience something, I'll give you an example. For one of my clients, what we did is we worked with a oracle card set called Goddess Power. It's a beautiful oracle deck. And what we did is we pulled a card every new moon, And that was the goddess that we called in for that moon cycle. And
Yeah.
that was going to be with them, with her for that moon cycle. And initially she was like, "Oh, I don't know, let's see." But I felt this strong, like, yeah, but this is what we really feel like. I'm going to invite you to really take this on board and go into it. I felt so strongly that that's what needed to be done. And so she surrendered to that, and I did a ritual, and then, we invited that energy of that goddess to come in. And for her to then just continue to speak to me throughout that moon cycle, it's like, oh my goodness, like this is what's happened. And I've seen her show up here, I've seen her show up there, I've seen her here. Like I know that this was Epona, like I know this was Hecate, like Hecate, you worked with
Mhm.
Hecate. I know this was Lakshmi, and for them to have that inner knowing, it's priceless, because this is not something that I can teach you. It's something you have to experience to know that this divine feminine energy, this force, this goddess, if like no matter what forms it comes in, no matter what goddess archetype it comes in, it's with you. It's walking right there with you. It's in you, with you, around you. And to feel that support, it's yeah, it's priceless. Absolutely priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stunning. I used to have a deck of goddess cards on this shelf right next to me here, but I took them home the other day. Otherwise, I'd say, let's pull a card right now.
I have one here. Well, I
Okay?
can tell you, because one of the things that I started doing, there was a reason that I invited this client to join me in this, because back in 2023, which was roughly around the same time as the Council of Light invited me, so that's interesting. I felt called to journey with the goddesses of this goddess deck, and Goddess Power by
Oh,
Colette Baron
nice. Yeah.
Reid.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
beautiful. And it
Gorgeous.
has 52 cards in it.
Hmm.
And so I decided to journey with all these cards for one moon cycle. So I knew that it was going to be a 4.5 year project. So I'm finishing in
Nice.
June 2027. It's now, when we are recording this, we're in March 2026. So I have another good year to go.
Yeah.
But currently I
Lovely.
am journeying with Morrigan, which is death and rebirth.
Okay.
The
She's
Morrigan.
Welsh.
Yes, very triple goddess. Can you see her? She's beautiful.
Yes. I did a lot of work with her in my teens.
Mm. Yeah, I can imagine being with, with the witchy background and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Right. Yeah, no, I did. So we doing a
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, Caroline. I did not hear any of the thing you just said. You're a little frozen. I cannot hear you.
Are we pulling a? Not sure what to do.
Oh, I can see you again now and hear you as
Okay,
well.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I have no idea
Okay.
what you
Do you know
just
what I
said, though.
think? Well, I said, are we doing a card? But maybe we're not supposed to.
Maybe.
Maybe that was a block. No, you're not doing a card. No, no.
There we go. Well, we just
Okay.
did that
Am I
one, the
normal? Am I
the
normal again?
Morrigan, yeah, the Morrigan, Death and Rebirth, and I would almost
Yes.
invite like anyone who's listening, because Death and is it Death and Rebirth? No, it's Death and Magic. I have to say Death and Magic. It's not even, but Death and Magic. So yeah, yeah, what there's the element again, thinking about Mary Magdalene and how she showed up for me in her bones, like facing death, facing the decay of things. And this is another element that I speak a lot about with my private clients, is to embrace that, to embrace the darker feminine in that sense as well. And being able to look at allowing things to die.
This is so huge as well for the work
Yeah.
I do with women in menopause. I'm yet to find a woman who will kind of like be open to the idea that menopause is a preparation for your death.
Mm.
That's big. And it takes a lot of, I don't know what the word is, but like maturity
But
to
death in the sense of
accept
like
that this is
an ego
preparation for
death,
my death.
like an ego death kind of
Well, it's
thing.
almost like, yes, a complete ego death. Because every time we transform from the maiden to the mother, we have to let go of an identity.
Yeah.
From the mother to the wise woman, we let go of an identity, but women are not letting go. They will not cross that threshold and say, my life has to change and be different. But
Mm.
they don't know because it hasn't been modeled for them. And all they've been offered is a hormone model, and
Yeah.
so I find people will become very argumentative with me about hormones and send me studies about hormones. I'm not going there. No, I'm holding this. This is my frequency. This is my message. You meet me here. I don't come down here, you know?
Yeah.
And there's plenty of
Yeah.
places online and in society they can go and argue that hormone point, but I'm not arguing it anymore.
No.
So yeah, and then when we go, so
No,
like
it's
that's
true.
the final transformation from
It's
wise
true.
woman then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I actually, what you said as well, I believe menopause is, um, for a start, it forces you, if you haven't already done that, it forces you to look at everything that no longer works in your life. It forces you to look at every place that you've been pleasing others instead of yourself and where you've given your power away. It forces you to set boundaries where you probably know your entire life you've had to set them, but you never really dared them out of fear of losing people or losing situations or harming people or offending others or whatever the reason has been. And it forces you to really own the fact that if there is a mission or a creative project or something brewing within you, that this is the time to actually step up and do something with it. And so, I've gone through menopause a little earlier than most women. I'm 42 now. I'm postmenopausal. But if I look back now at the last 5 years, especially, my goodness, like this is what I've I've gone through all of that and I've had to like let go of so much. And also one of the things that I found the most difficult to let go of is I had an idea of, and I still do, like what I really want in life and one of my most desirable things. And to then allow the Great Mother Goddess to provide that for me is great, but it came in a way slightly different than I thought it would be. Like, oh, I did not expect to like live where I live now. And like I've met my partner who I've been wanting to meet for a very long time, and he's amazing. But yeah, it's different than I expected it, but it's also better in a way than I expected it. But like, can you accept that? Because that requires certain thoughts, certain ideas, certain patterns for you to die, to so that you can
Mm.
fully receive what's right in front of you and what wants to come.
Absolutely. And like when we do face our final death, that this ego is no more. That's
No,
end of. That ego
yeah,
dies. That soul is no longer Carolyn. Like you had your chance. So the menopause is like that final wake up call. Like, do
yeah.
you want to be on your deathbed and meet the person you could have become?
Well, why
No.
don't you do it now?
Do it
Yeah,
now.
I used
Yeah.
to have a meditation called Die Before You Die.
Yeah.
It's not actually available anymore now, but it speaks to that. Yeah, if you face your death now, and then like, what would you do if you knew you only had one more year to live? It's a question I asked myself when I was 35. It certainly
Yeah.
shot a fire up me.
Yes. See
Yeah.
that's what I mean about the maturity. At 35, to ask yourself that and to go and to make those changes, that's what's required, isn't it? It's that
Mm,
level
yeah.
of yeah. And like I feel like for me as well, I meet people where they're at and I'll take them gently there. I'm not saying they've got to do it tomorrow, but I just don't think that they're being modeled this anywhere. And it's really important that we do model this for women,
Well,
isn't
let
it?
let us be two models who are doing it then. That's what it is.
definitely.
That's exactly what embodied
This
leadership,
conversation will be a good
embodied feminine
start.
leadership is, isn't it? It's that you walk your talk. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So I'm going through one of those initiations myself right now, and I'm actually really excited to talk about it, but I'm not ready to share yet because it's not complete.
Mm.
So I've got to, I'll have the story to tell when I know what the ending is.
Yes, I think it's very wise. That's another thing. It's gestation. A child isn't birthed in a day. It costs nine
Yes.
months before it's ready to be birthed. So give yourself that time and you'll know when it's ready to talk about it.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. Okay, we're coming close to time now, unfortunately. This has been a timeless interview,
Yes.
and it will be, we must do another one again, a follow on, because I'm sure
Yes.
there's so much that we could have got round to talking about today, but this is what needed to come through today, and I've loved it. So,
Thank
what
you.
final message would you like to leave the listeners with, and where can they find you if they want to work with you?
Oh, well, let me start with where they can find me so I can think about the message. So, I'm on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm even on Substack. However, if you really want to be in my world, I always just recommend signing up for my mailing list because that's just the most intimate place for me to be. And it's free. So that would be the best. And that's on NicoleOlsthoorn.com. If you have trouble finding me on internet, just type in the Celtic goddess and you'll find me there as well. Nicole, the Celtic goddess, and I should pop up. So the final thing that I would say is if you have an intuitive nudge, an inner knowing somewhere deep inside of you, love yourself enough, honor yourself enough to give it space to breathe. And it doesn't mean that you have to change your life instantly, but like really listen to it because I know from my own experience, ignoring it doesn't make it go away. In fact, it eventually will make you regret it, will make you feel ill even if you really suppress it. So listen to that, listen, listen, listen. Yeah.
Yeah, I received that
Mm,
too. So thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
so
having
much for your
me.
time today. It's been amazing. So, bye everyone. Thanks for
Bye.
listening.